Hello everybody, welcome to Curial Listings. I'm your host Prajwal Hania, and on this episode we are going to take a book called How to Avoid a Climate Disaster, written by Bill Gates. This is the latest book in the market, one of the important books that I consider. Let's explore what's in this book. Before reading this, I personally had a very little idea about climate change. After reading this, I don't tell that I am an expert at it, but I got to know at least 1% of what's happening around the world, why we are experiencing this kind of heat. There's a lot of reasons for it. Let's continue. There are two numbers that you need to know. That's 51 billion and 0. 51 billion is how many tons of greenhouse gases we are adding to the atmosphere every year. We can't even imagine. That's 51 billion. 1 billion is 100 crores and multiplied by 51. So what are these greenhouse gases? Gases that trap heat in the atmosphere are nothing but these greenhouse gases. For example, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide. These are all the gases. Methane. They hold the heat and that causes the rising temperature of the earth. From 51 billion, we need to bring it to 0. He says that bringing to 0 is what we all need to focus on. To reduce these kinds of damage what we are making, we need to deploy solar and wind. Of course, we are doing it. Both solar and wind is a renewable source and it is totally eco-friendly. The problem is these technologies are slower. It doesn't give the kind of experience what fossil fuels gives us. So he says we need to bring some kind of innovation in the society so that it will be fast and it will be eco-friendly and efficient. He also mentions that unless we reduce the greenhouse gases, the temperature of the earth isn't going to stop rising. Is it possible to get to 0 emissions, like for total clean air, clean fuel? Is it possible? That may be theoretical, but if we reach even, or if we reduce even 50% or 60 or 70%, that's super improvement. Now there is 51 billion. If we reduce it nearly to the half, then it will be 25, right? Then after a few years, we can again reduce it to half. It will be 12, 13. So that's a super improvement. A small rise in the temperature of the earth, maybe 1 degree Celsius or 2 degrees Celsius, it's going to affect each one of us. And when you come to fossil fuels are everywhere. We use nearly 4 billion gallons every day overnight. It is not possible to bring it down tomorrow. It's not that easy. It's going to be tough. Adapting to different kinds of technologies is tough. So if you stop it today, and the new technology must be there, new kinds of alternative things must be there, only then we as a consumers will stop using it. Else how we can stop using it? It's not just a practical advice. What are the things that are causing this climate change? Let's see. Just look at the image. This shows how much greenhouse gas is emitted by the things we do. Making things that's cement, steel and plastic, that's 31%. Right? Next comes electricity, 21%. Growing things, or what we grow for our dairy products, for non-vegetarian products, that's 19%. Getting around. The transportation is 16%. When you look at all these percentages, you may be confused. Till now you may have thought that only transportation is causing all these pollution things. No, there are so many different things. Transportation is only, you can consider that's 16%. That's it. Comparatively, it's lesser. Cement, steel and plastic is causing too much. Next comes electricity. How? Let's look further. When it comes to steel, making 1 ton steel produces 1.8 tons of carbon dioxide. See, just look at it. It's like more than double. 1 ton of steel produces 1.8 tons of carbon dioxide. The method used in making this steel is cheaper. What they use, the iron ore today, and cheaper coal, that's causing more damage. That's releasing more carbon dioxide. So the green premium for it is going to be costlier. What is this green premium? Green premium is nothing but the amount extra you pay for the products that is eco-friendly, that contains zero carbon. Consider this as an example. This is a product which is 50 rupees, okay, and it's harming the nature. So what you need to do, you need to buy a different product which is 100 rupees and is eco-friendly. It doesn't harm the nature. This extra 50 rupees what you give is the green premium. And next, cement. To make cement you need calcium, and to get calcium you need limestone. You burn that limestone, which releases then calcium and carbon dioxide. If you want to know more about this process, how steel and cement is made, that is your part of the work. Like you need to, if you are curious, you can find it on Google and on YouTube. There is a clean process with chemical reactions. You can get it if you search it. And in vague terms, what I can tell is these are the cement, steel and plastic. These are the things that are releasing much more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. What are the alternatives? You definitely have some kind of green premium. How you need to change the way those things are manufactured. He says that we need a different kinds of process to make all these things. We all think that riding an electric bike, electric car will create lesser pollution. We never think of where does the electricity come from. It's probably from fossil fuels. They burn the fuel in order to run the turbine, in order to generate heat and run the turbine. And this in turn is generating electricity. Whatever we are getting, it's not just from hydropower plants, it may be from nuclear power plants. There are different sources how you generate electricity too. Fossil fuels provide 2/3 of the world's electricity, and solar and wind will only account for 7%, 7 to 8%. That's it. Most of it come from fossil fuels. If we think that if we are using electric, yes, we can stop greenhouse gases. No, you need to even go to the source. Where does the electricity come from? If it's from fossil fuels, again, of course, we are again damaging it. We are not controlling anything. Only if it is from solar, wind, or some kinds of eco-friendly creation of electricity, then it's okay. Just switching to electric will definitely not solve our problems. It was really intriguing to me. Even I was thinking, yes, if we all switch to electric, everything will be fine. But no, it's not the case. The problem with solar and wind is it cannot be transported for a longer distance, right? So it can be within few states. It cannot transfer from one country to different country. You cannot export it for a longer distance. And he says that we need to find different sources to generate electric power too. As the population increases, food demand automatically increases. Let's take just an example of dairy products. If there is more population, you need to feed more people. That means more dairy products. If you want more dairy products, you need to raise more cattle. These cattle in turn release large number of methane into the atmosphere. It may be through their excreta. So this is one of the major factors for climate change. What we eat is also damaging the earth. If it is limited, it's okay. But as there is growth of population, it's going to severely damage each and everything. Noticing these kinds of problems, many companies are growing non-vegetarian products like artificial meats. These are things that are grown in the lab. To curb this climate change, this is 100% necessary. Maybe in the future people will get adapted to this because we don't have choice. We will be left out with zero choice. Similarly, more use of fertilizer causes damage. It not only kills the soil fertility, but as the population increases, the demand for food increases. If the demand for food increases, it puts pressure on the agriculture sector to grow more food products. To grow more food products, obviously you need fertilizers. And if you need fertilizer, the manufacturing company must increase its production. The problem lies in the manufacturing of the fertilizer. There, large amount of greenhouse gases are released. The only solution we have for all these kinds of problems is switching to green technologies, maybe green premiums, what he says, but it's costly. So what we need to do? We need to bring the cost of these green premium lower, and the product must be efficient. Only then we as consumers will adapt to it. Most of us, if asked that which things contribute more to the climate change, each one of us would answer that it's transportation, because we are able to see it. More number of vehicles on the road, we see that emission of gases. That's why we assume that this transportation is causing much more damage to the climate change. But in reality, it's only just 16% of its contribution is going for climate change. That's huge too. If you reduce it by 10%, maybe even 15%, that's super improved. And one more important thing is, when it comes to transportation system, you can't replace them with throughout the batteries. For example, airplanes and jet, you can't replace them with batteries. The energy they provide is not enough to lift a plane. It's not possible right now. Maybe in the future you may find a different solution for it. So what is the solution for this? For this, you need to the companies are shifting into electrofuels and biofuels. Only these are the solution right now. What he found out, what's mentioned in this book. When it's damn hot, what you do? We all switch to air conditioners. Air conditioners not only made our life comfortable, but it is used in agriculture sector too, to store products. And most importantly, it keeps all the server rooms cool. You can able to use YouTube, maybe Instagram, Facebook, all these apps. If you are able to communicate with each other, all these data are processed in the server rooms. They are stored in the server rooms. Of course, you need to keep all the servers cool, else the server room would melt down. So you can see the graph. Japan is using the highest air conditioners. Next comes United States, Korea, and at last it's India. India is only contribute to 5%. I think in the future, the 5% is going for 90%, because we are like 130 crore people, and if each individual gets purchasing power, more purchasing power, then there will be more demand for air conditioners. There is more demand for air conditioners, obviously demand for electric power, and electric power in turns more demand for fossil fuels, which obviously create more climate change, right, in a bad way. It's not only use of electricity in the air conditioners, but they use F gases, fluorinated gases, which are harmful to the environment. Because of the climate change, the prices will skyrocket. Prices for food products, price for electricity generation, everything increases. This heat is going to hit each and every industry, and obviously price will increase. If the price will increase, you need to think about the countries where the economic power is very low, where the strength of their economy is very low, maybe in different parts of Africa, right? Maybe in different parts of India. The problem with electricity is you can't differentiate. There are no competitors for it. There are simply no two products. Just there is one electricity. If you start innovating, then it starts hitting the job market. That is something what we can't control. If you are getting something efficient, the company is going to adapt for it. The problem is, what should that person, that one individual who is skilled in doing that job, what they should do? That is the question. Other than updating to the newer technology, there is no choice. There will be no choice left out for them, right? It is applicable for each one of us too. It's applicable for me, it's applicable for you. He says that there is complexity in the problem, and we are responsible for it, and we are the one who need to solve it. And at last, markets, technology, and policy, these are the three levers that we need to pull in order to wean ourselves from these fossil fuels. How? Just see, if you have a policy and no technology, and nobody is going to adapt for it. There is no technology itself, then why do you make a policy? Okay. If there is technology and no policy, then how do you control that? It is just not possible to allow the technology in the market. And next, if you have right kind of policy and newly innovated technology, but no market for it, people just don't need it because it's costly. The alternative is available in the market. So this also fails. these three things, that's market, policy and technology, must go hand in hand. It must go together, only then massive adaptation and new innovations can hit the market and we can adapt to it. He says that by 2050 we need to bring down all these emissions, we need to bring down the climate change, else it's going to damage, it's going to affect each of us, each individual, not only human beings, plants, animals, the living beings, and we are responsible for it. You need to go for green premiums, you need to pay higher amount to get what it is already getting in a cheap way, and it is not the mentality of the consumers. And something, if you are getting a cheap amount, obviously we are going to shift towards it, unless the premium what you give, it's super efficient and the quality is super good, then only we shift to the green premium, right? And as a consumer, he tells that we need to sign up for green pricing programs and use electric vehicle and reduce your home emissions. Try a plant-based burger, in a sense shifting towards a vegetarian way. That's it for this episode. Hope you have gained something out of it. Read the book, you will definitely get more than what I got. More information is filled within this book. It's not an paid promotion or something like that, but believe me, it will open a different world for you. If you haven't subscribed, make sure that you subscribe and share this with your friends and family. Let me meet you in the next episode. Until then, keep reading, keep exploring. Bye bye.